Hypixel Skyblock's Enderman Slayer just released, and I have spent a stupid amount of money on this update, so in an attempt to make back some of my money, I will be doing 10 hours of Tier 3 Enderman Slayer and seeing how much money I get from it. Even with some of the best gear in the game, even just the Tier 3 Enderman Slayers are a challenge, and so in today's video, I'm not just going to be looking over the loot, but also showing you a bunch of the tips and tricks that I've learned, and some of the other auxiliary gear that you can use to make your grinding faster. I know some of you guys are gonna say, why are you making another video? Aren't you just trying to milk this for content? And yeah, but also, I am really excited to show off a bunch of the new things that I've learned since I made that video, and also hopefully try to get Enderman Slayer 6. I'm not sure, but if I can, that would be super sick. Before we get into the video, I want to remind you that if you want to buy my cape, the link is in the description. Also, I recommend that you stick around to the end of the video because I will be giving away a ton of items that I get from this, so if you want a chance to win those, watch until the end. And with that, let's get right into the video. First things first, let's talk about my gear. Same as last time, I'll be using 3/4 Necron and a Warden helmet, because I'm pretty sure that's just the best setup you can get. I might try out some Final Destination armor later on, but I don't think it's really that worth it at the moment. I will still be maining the Enderman pet for when I am spawning the boss, but instead of using a blue whale like I'd mentioned earlier, I will be using a baby yeti this time. This is because although you have very similar EHP between the two, it's better to have the defense and lower health from the baby yeti, because that means a single charge of Wither Impact or Zombie Florid Sword will heal you more of your percent health, which means more EHP healed. Once again, I will be using two main swords for damage, and those are the Valkyrie and the Giant Sword. This Valkyrie is not the same one that I was using before, because I had to give back the Chimera 5 Valkyrie that I borrowed. However, there are also, as you can see, a bunch of other swords in my hotbar. First one is the Aspect of the End, which can teleport 12 blocks now, apparently. Don't ask how I did that. The next one is the Florid Sword for healing, and then I have a Silk Edge Sword, which I haven't really used much at all, but it's there in case you want to stun the boss. Finally, I have the Vorpal Katana, which I will be showing off in a little bit. I also still do have my Plasma Flux, which I really recommend that you use, which I'll show in a little bit, but then I also have some other things in my inventory. I have a Hurricane Bow that I don't really use, I have my Grappling Hook that I also don't use, I have the Bat Phone in case I die and I need to restart the quest, and then I also have the Soulflow Pile, which is something that I didn't talk about last time and is very powerful. Soulflow is a new resource in Hypixel Skyblock that's produced by minions that you can sell on the bazaar. As you can see, a stack of them is around 1.1 mil, and when you consume them, they give you Soulflow. As you see, it gives me a bonus 64 Soulflow, and now I'm at a total of 128. To be able to consume it, you have to have one of these, which is the battery that sort of stores it, and you want to make sure that you turn off its ability, or else it'll convert all of your Soulflow into mana. I don't know why you'd ever really want to use this, but maybe later on down the line, once Soulflow is cheaper, it might be effective. There's a whole slew of new items that consume Soulflow when you use them, with the main one kind of being this armor set, the Final Destination armor. The Final Destination armor kind of sucks when you don't have Soulflow, but if you do consume Soulflow, it is really powerful and it buffs your damage just a ton. However, I'm not going to be using this because I don't really think it's that much more worth it. The item that I'll be using Soulflow for is the Vorpal Katana that I mentioned earlier. When you use it, it consumes some mana and a little bit of Soulflow, and then it increases your ferocity by 300 against Endermen for a few seconds. And this is really nice for just absolutely shredding through the hit phase. One of the other things that I've learned is that I've been sticking almost entirely with the Giant Sword for dealing DPS. As you can see, the Giant Sword is dealing around 1 million damage per hit, while the Valkyrie is only dealing like 300,000. And while 300,000 damage is still good, I would much rather be dealing the significantly higher amount of damage that I can deal with the Giant Sword, and then just using the Valkyrie to heal when I need to. In general, the fights do tend to be pretty easy now, and it's not often that I'll just genuinely die. One of the things that I did try was putting a Crochet Tiger plushie on my baby yeti, and it felt nice at first, but then the knockback really does mess me up, and I much more appreciate having the turtle shellmet. Maybe that's just me not being used to it, but it feels much more just succinct and much better to have the turtle shellmet and not have to worry about taking knockback when I'm doing the actual boss. In general, the boss fights haven't really been super much of a challenge. I just try to place down my Plasma Flux, and then you can use the Vorpal Katana, which turns gold when you have it active, and that allows you to go through the hit shield really fast with the Valkyrie, because it increases your ferocity by just so incredibly much. From there, all you need to do is just go through the phases, and then whenever the hit shield comes up, use the Vorpal Katana again. I've sort of been trying to stay looking at the boss as much as possible when I've been doing it, and not looking away even when it places down its things, just because it feels safer, and in general probably ends up being better for me in the long run. One of the things that I've noticed with maining Giant Sword is that you can just do them a lot faster, even if it's a little bit riskier. In general, I've been dying a little bit more with Giant Sword over Valkyrie, but you can kill them just so much faster that it honestly feels worth it. Now that we've gone over everything that I've been using and the different techniques that I've been trying out, I'm going to be grinding these out for a long time. I really just want to stop being broke, and so I'm going to sell everything in my sacks, I'm going to sell everything in my inventory, I'm going to NPC my Toxic Arrow Poison, and then I will also sell these 2 books. I'm not going to sell them right now, but I'll just put them away for now. And now, boom, I have an empty inventory, empty sacks, and now we can check how much money I'll be able to get in the 12 hours that I grind these out. Also, to check a baseline on my Slayer XP, I will be starting with 7,830 Enderman XP, and if I can get all the way up to that 20,000 in this 12 hours, I will be very happy with myself, because that will unlock a ton of new items. With that, I'll start my timer, and my 10 hours will begin. It's been a bit under 10 minutes, and I just got my first actual drop, which is the transmission tuner, and although it's not really that valuable, I think it's like a mil at most, it's still nice to see that I'm getting something, and so yeah, back to it. So, it's been just about 2 hours, and I haven't really taken a break, and so I need to go eat dinner, but before that, I want to see what exactly I've gotten. So far, everything in my inventory and in my sacks is all that I've gotten, and it looks like I have a little over 2 stacks of poison, 3 null atoms, 2 transmission tuners, 4 mana steel books, a summoning eye, and then 36 million coins worth of regular drops, and so this is pretty insane. I've also gone through about 5 million coins, which means in total, I'm guessing I've made about 33 million coins in 2 hours, and that's pretty insane, and so I'm very excited for the next 10 hours of this. Okay, so I'm back for another check-in, and this time I have a little bit of a story to go with it, and that is, I ended up streaming right after that clip. I streamed for a little over 3 or 4 hours, and it was really fun. I did about 2 or a little bit more hours of Enderman grinding, and I tried to keep the timer as consistent as possible, and in that time, I did a ton of bosses. I also learned a bunch of things about how to grind efficiently, but then I ended stream, I did some editing, I went to bed. I woke up and started grinding some more with my timer on, and then I realized, I'm 70 XP off Ender Slayer 6, and I hadn't even realized that I was that close until, like, just now. And so I have one more boss until Ender Slayer 6, and then we can look at some of the new things that I get. I just finished off the last boss, and I claimed the rewards, and it looks like I get 3 more intelligence, the craft for the Gyrokinetic Wand, the Aspect of the Void, the Atom Split Katana, and the Sinseeker Scythe. The ones that I've heard are really good are the Atom Split Katana, and then none of the other ones, actually. The Atom Split Katana is actually incredibly expensive. As you can see, the recipe right here is a lot of null atoms, which aren't that bad, a lot of quartz, which also isn't that bad, but the real pain is because you need the 2 null blades, that means you need a total of 2 stacks of null ovoids, and null ovoids at the moment are very expensive. I'm pretty sure in total this weapon would cost around 350 or 400 million coins, and so I'm not going to get it yet because I'm poor, and I need to keep grinding. That was the whole point of this video, to make money, not to lose it. A quick note about some of the stuff that I learned during my stream before I get back into the last part of the grinding is, first of all, I have had my Vorpal Katana active just the entire time. Soulflow really isn't that expensive for how much you use, and having it active the entire time is ridiculously efficient, like you just sort of shred them. Also, I did try out a different armor set. I ended up making this pretty disgusting armor, which has Prot 7, and then because 2NFG bullied me, Fire Prot 7 and Blast Prot 7, and even with all of this, even with a pretty maxed out setup, it is still pretty rough to use. Honestly, I kind of just prefer Necron at the moment, but I'm guessing once I start having to do tier 4s, that will change and I'll need to go level up the defense on that armor set. I did also end up trying out some other utility items, so I have this Wand of Atonement, which has been pretty useful. It's not really the most insane thing in the world, but it is a very large heal for a very long amount of time, and so if I do get low, it has sort of been nice. I haven't been using the Florid Sword as much, just because I don't really need to. With Wither Shield, I can pretty much just tank through it, and because I'm dealing way more damage now, it's less of a worry to just use it all the time. The other thing is I entirely put away the Leaping Sword and Silk Edge and the Endstone Sword because they were just pretty much useless. And so this hotbar right here is basically everything that I use. Before I get back into it, I want to do a quick checkup on my profits. In this backpack right here, I have everything that I have grinded out, so it is a total of 10 Mana Steel books, 4 Transmission Tuners, a whole bunch of Twilight Arrow Poison, 3 Summoning Eyes, and 7 Null Atoms, along with the absolutely massive amount of money that I've made just off Null Spheres. However, I haven't been keeping track of my purse. I ended up getting messed up with some stuff during my stream. In general, I think I've probably spent around 7 or 8 mil on the Slayers themselves, and so I'll just subtract that out at the end. Because I've been going for about 5 hours and I've made a little bit over 100 million coins, that means that this is a 20 million coin per hour money-making method at the moment, which is just ridiculous. Okay, well, that's kind of awkward. Right after that clip ended, I actually my inventory started filling with ender pearls, and then I realized my entire combat sack was actually entirely full of ender pearls. So I'm gonna NPC all of those or sell them to Bazaar or whatever, and then we're gonna keep going with it. Just so we get a somewhat accurate estimate, even though it's been a totally inaccurate test, it looks like there's around 100,000 coins worth of ender pearls, and god, that is so many ender pearls. So it's been another few hours of grinding, and I just came into contact with a good friend of mine, Young Gravy, and he lent me a very, very valuable item, which is the Atom Split Katana. This is one of the best weapons in the game for dealing with the Endermen, and so I want to try it out a little bit. I want to do a couple tier 3s with it, and I might even try a tier 4 with it. With this new weapon, I also won't be needing the Giant Sword because all of my DPS will be coming from this. I'll still have the Valkyrie just for healing, but as you can see here, I will be dealing 1 million damage with the Giant Sword, and with the Atom Split Katana, I am dealing almost 2 million. This thing is pretty insane, and on top of that, it also has the ferocity ability, so I am very, very excited to try this out. To see the true power of this weapon, I turned off Auto Slayer, which means that I will see how long it actually takes to kill. For reference, when I was using the Giant Sword and the setup I was using before, it took around 45 seconds to kill the boss, and so I want to see how long it takes with this insanely OP weapon. According to the timer, it took me 32 seconds to kill this boss, which isn't just good because it means I can do bosses faster, it's also insane because it means I don't have to deal with any beacons. If you can get it into its 3rd hit phase before it can place the beacon that it would normally place in its 2nd health period, it won't place a beacon, and then if you can kill it before the 2nd beacon it would normally place would explode, then it doesn't place anything at all and you can just do DPS the entire time, meaning that you can absolutely shred through these bosses. Also, just because Young mentioned it, I'd want to try something out, and that is 3/4 Renowned Werewolf Armor and a Warden Helmet. I'm also going to be using the Tiger on the boss spawn, and with all of that, I will be getting a pretty ludicrous amount of ferocity, and so I want to see if it's doable like this. So apparently I can't do it. That's a little bit unfortunate. I kind of want to try a tier 2 out with it, but I also just don't really care that much. It really just seems like it's not going to be worth it. However, this weapon is still absolutely insane. Sadly, Young does want it Mac, which means that I will have to go back to using my old setup. However, that is still very, very good, and I still have quite a few hours to go until I'm entirely done. Okay, apparently Catlord wants to be in the video. After another few hours of grinding, I finally managed to complete the total time, which was 10 hours. As you can see in this screenshot, I ended up getting a total of 220 million coins, and the reason it's a screenshot and I'm not doing it now is because I did it on stream, which was a ton of fun. In total, I killed around 300 tier 3 Endermen, which was pretty good, and based on the fact that I was speeding up over time and I have better gear now than I did at the beginning, I'm approximating that this is a 24 to 25 million coin per hour money-making method if you can do it efficiently. In this backpack is everything that I got while I was grinding, which ended up being a total of 18 Mana Steel books, 5 Summoning Eyes, 12 Transmission Tuners, 2 Enderman Cortex Rewriters, and 16 Null Atoms. this is pretty insane, and although it's not really as valuable as all of the stuff in my sacks was, it is still a lot of coins. Because I was streaming, Galaxy Crusher decided to quit and gave me a little bit of contraband, and by a little bit, I mean a lot. So now, my setup is not actually what I was using before, but is instead the Atom Split Katana, which is actually better than the one that Young had, and I instead use the Final Destination armor. I ended up leveling the kills up to around 3700 in the time after my stream, and I'm also using a True Ender Dragon. The True Ender Dragon is really nice because I get the knockback reduction from the Turtle Shelmet while still getting the superior buff. He also ended up giving me a bunch of other stuff, and I'm very appreciative, so I want to end up showing off the gear that I can use now, and that is of course the Final Destination armor with the Atom Split Katana. In total, this setup gives 600 ferocity against Endermen when you use the ability, so as you can see, if I use the Atom Split Katana, then it ends up striking that for a total of 6 times, which is pretty insane, meaning that I can just deal insane DPS. To show off how good it is, I guess I can do this boss, and in general, I can do them in under 20 seconds, so I can actually keep this all in one clip. The damage is pretty ludicrous because I'm also using the True Ender Dragon instead of something like a Baby Yeti, meaning that I can just sort of shred through everything. It is a little bit squishier, and that's mostly just due to the fact that I haven't leveled the kills a ton yet, but as I continue leveling up the kills, it will become even tankier than Necron, meaning that these will become an absolute breeze, and I can start trying tier 4s. Because I realized that there isn't really much use for any of this gear, and also it's all pretty useless to me, I'll be giving it all away to one person in my Discord server, so go down and join at discord.gg/dkmcc123. I also do giveaways there like all the time, so I recommend you join because I have a ton of fun and we can just chill and do a lot of fun events together. That just about wraps it up for this video. If you enjoyed, drop a like or subscribe, and comment if you want to see more. This video, of course, was a ton of fun to record, and was incredibly lucrative, and so I enjoyed making it, and I'm probably gonna end up making more content like this. If you want to see me attempt tier 4s, also comment that and join my Discord server. If I see enough support for it, I'll probably make a video like that. And with that, I'll see you guys later, and adios.